Laura,
Yes.
I got a date.
I know. It is literally the best news ever. How are you feeling?
I don't even know. It's just all the feels. 4th of October at 10 a.m.
You are
Getting my ADHD assessment.
on the NHS.
Yeah. So last May 2021 was when I first approached my doctor about it. So in the grand scheme of things, I've not had to wait too long,
No.
although it feels like an absolute eternity.
Because the limbo is the worst bit, right?
Yeah. The fact that I had the diagnosis in inverted commas through the uni has kind of made it a bit harder, I guess, because I had that validation back in September, and now I'm at the place where it's like I've had to wait from September until now to actually get any help off the back of that.
Well, I think it's so funny, isn't it? Because that's the thing that we get messages about the most.
Yeah.
So as we shared on Instagram, we're going to dive into a few people's experiences and just really talk about ADHD diagnosis. Let's do it.
Let's just get straight in.
Yeah.
ADHD as females, ADHD AF. ADHD as females, the podcast.
Hi, I'm Dawn.
Hi, I'm Laura, and we
are
are ADHD AF. We are two neurodivergent neighbours who moved to the same street at the same time, at the same age, with the same undiagnosed disability. What are the chances?
Since discovering the enormous impact ADHD has had on our lives and the horrifying numbers of missing undiagnosed females, it has become our mission to make some serious noise.
We want to use our voices to raise awareness, break the stigma, and share our experiences in the hope that they help others.
So join us for a chat, or as it's called up here in Aberdeen, a blether.
Trigger warning, we will be covering some really sensitive topics, so please do have a read of the description of each episode before listening.
It's important to note that we are not medical professionals. We're not therapists or coaches. We're not qualified to offer advice or support. What we will do is share our experiences alongside resources and information from professionals. We will talk over each other and we will go off topic and forget the point mid-sentence.
We are both assigned female at birth, which means that we can only speak from the experience of life as AFAB people. However, ADHD AF is an inclusive space. Whatever your gender, you are very welcome here.
Yes, you are.
ADHD as females, ADHD AF. ADHD as females, the podcast.
So this is the big subject. This is the big subject that everybody messages us about, that we want to talk about, that gets our blood boiling and all the rest of it. So we thought it really made sense to share some of the countless experiences that we get every single day sent to us.
Yeah.
Because as much as we want to be there and support each other as a community, we also just see how wrong this is.
Yeah, and we need everyone to understand the harsh reality of what diagnosis is and how to get there and the struggles people are facing, but also the other options that are available to you as well.
And I mean, we're only learning. So as ever, disclaimer again, we're not experts. This is just what we're finding out on our journey that we've only really been on for the last few months, although obviously we've had ADHD all of our lives.
Yes.
Just as a side note, part of what we're trying to do is, well, just be heard, right? So that's why we've started our new campaign.
Yes,
as
we have.
Many of you will have seen. We've started a campaign called It Only Takes a Minute, ADHD AF, hashtag we are ADHD AF. And what we want to do is have everyone have their say. So in a minute, we're asking people to send us, no longer than a minute, a voice note or to camera video telling the world what you want them to know about ADHD. And we're going to either use it on the podcast or share them in reels. And we just want everyone to unite and use your voices, because we're hearing your voices all the time. The world needs to hear it.
Exactly. The more people that we get out there and the more word we get out on ADHD and how it's affecting people and everything, the better. The more awareness that's out there means that we can incite change.
Yeah, we need to be understood, we need to be heard, and we need help.
Yeah.
So we're lucky enough that people have followed us and given us a bit of a platform, and we want to use it. So please do send us your admissions into our, well, not admissions, it's not a competition, but, send us what you want to say. But please remember, it can only be a minute and it's only one entry per person. So don't send multiple voice notes or longer than a minute voice notes or multiple videos. You've only got one, and we can only look at or listen to the first one just to make it fair, so that we can get through all of them.
There are only 2 of us here doing this. We don't have any help behind the scenes, so we've got to get through all your videos. And if you send loads, we're just not going to be able to do it.
It only takes a minute, girl.
It only takes a minute, girl,
to have you say. So tell the world. Sorry.
That was beautiful, Laura.
Right, enough of that. Let's dive into this hell of a subject. So Dawn, elaborate more. We also, just want to say, for anybody who doesn't listen in order or who has just found us by this episode, we go into more depth about how we got to the point of seeking diagnosis, where we're up to, etc. in episode 1. So just as a little recap, if you don't know, I got diagnosed in January and I started medication in February. And Dawn has, actually, I should also add, I waited from March, I think, 2019 on the NHS until now, basically. I never really heard anything back. COVID happened and I ended up going private.
So essentially you were never referred.
I never heard back from those forms. No, nothing.
Yeah.
No. So where are we now? That's a few years, right?
Yeah.
But then Dawn has been much more proactive.
Yeah, I guess because I got my diagnosis through the uni in September, and I've been waiting on the NHS since May, it's kind of given me the push to keep chasing it because I know I need the help and I'm desperate to get the help.
Yeah.
So because of that, it's actually given me like the driving force to chase it up a lot. So I've been, through my therapist as well, she's been contacting the NHS, the psychiatry department, and trying to chase up to find where I am on the list. So between the 2 of us, we've really been pushing it. She's been asking for the help for me and I've been trying to find out myself. So I've sent countless emails, begging, pleading, everything, to try and get, I'm not asking for them to put me first or give me a date first, just to give me a timeline of how long I need to wait. Because the big thing for me isn't knowing that I'm going to get the diagnosis, because I know I'll get there eventually. It was just when, because if
limbo is torture.
Yeah, the limbo is torture. And if I was going to have to wait 6 years, then I would have found the money and I would have found a way to get that private diagnosis sooner.
But if it's weeks, months, or if it's years and years, that is a really important piece of information for your mental health, which is the thing that you're trying to get help with.
Absolutely.
And it really shouldn't be the case that you've had to push as hard as you can have. And the thing is, it's fantastic that you have the support of your counsellor that has done that for you as well. Mm-hmm. And that you have been able to have that drive to fight for it. But what we've talked about, particularly when we were talking to Louise Pink Pear Bear, was like having to advocate for yourself as an ADHD person, having to fight against this identity that you formed of yourself, having to do the admin, all the rest of it. Like, that's ableist in itself.
Yeah.
Like, you are literally being asked to fight against the symptoms of the very thing that you need help for to get the help. It's absolutely obscene.
It really is. And I genuinely think if I didn't have that diagnosis through the uni, through the educational psychologist, I wouldn't be chasing this so much.
Yeah, well, because
I had someone backing me up.
Yeah,
and I probably would have doubted myself much more if it wasn't for that. So I've been fortunate in that situation. But yeah, getting that date and everything secured was important for me, so I knew how long I was going to have to wait, and I eventually got there, and I eventually got my date. and I'm buzzing. Like,
Yeah.
I am buzzing to get that official diagnosis. Don't get me wrong, there's still a part in my tiny little brain that's just sitting there thinking, what if they tell me I don't have ADHD? Like,
Again.
imagine I've started this podcast, we're doing this, and now what if they tell me I don't have it?
And we all know that Dawn is ADHD AF. But that is imposter syndrome, which is, again, another symptom of ADHD. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Or not necessarily a symptom, but something that ADHDers struggle with because of this lifetime of
self-doubt.
Yeah, self-doubt and low self-worth, etc. Okay, so that is very, very, very good news.
Yes.
Very good news. How do you, in terms of the imposter syndrome, do you feel like you need to be prepared in some way? I read somewhere that the Scottish Coalition, that they have a form that you fill in that you present, but I don't know if that's to your GP or not.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you're going to take some notes just to make sure that you meet all of the criteria? I know ADHD Adult UK have some information about that in the resources section of their website as well.
All of these things are incredible, but I'm laughing because I know myself really well, and I want to take notes and I want to do these things. But I guarantee it's just a last minute, like, grab my school reports, which I have. Fortunately, I have all of my school reports from primary 1 right through until I left. And it's all there.
But what if you don't? That's the thing that really annoys me. We had a message from a woman who was later in life found out that she discovered that she potentially had ADHD, went to speak to them, and they were like, well, where's the proof? And she was literally like, well, my parents are no longer with us, and do you honestly think that I have school reports at my age? Like,
well, that's it.
How do you prove it?
But I'm so fortunate in so many different ways, but it shouldn't be like that.
No.
You shouldn't get ADHD because you're fortunate or privileged or
And that's
a diagnosis.
the issue.
The diagnosis shouldn't come from that. It is ridiculous.
It's so ridiculous, and you can hear how angry we are. And I spend a lot of time spitting feathers, to be perfectly honest with you. And it's just like, this is a disability. It is literally like, it blows my mind. And to the point of I just want to scream, like, this is criminal behavior, like, to make people like have to prove themselves to the point that they feel like they are criminals themselves. Do you know what I mean? Trying to prove this thing to you is just, and the fact that it can be so open to interpretation is something else that we've seen, like, oh no, well, as we've said, the GPs are the gatekeepers through the NHS for referral to get assessed. And apparently it's open to opinion of whether you believe in ADHD or not.
Yeah.
Dawn's going to share like a really awful horror story.
Yeah, so we got this message from one of our followers and it enraged me. Like, yeah, let me just share. My daughter, 19, ended up, due to anxiety, seeing let's call him Dr. X. This is in Scotland, by the way. He told her, despite her being twice diagnosed, that her ADHD was Googled, probably by her mother. She didn't have it because she could hold a conversation with him and she wasn't jumping about the room. And wait for it. She likely just had a personality disorder, but wants ADHD because it's trendy. He dismissed the 2 doctors who had diagnosed her independently, and then also suggested, wait for it, that she had probably been abused by her dad, but had forgotten about it. And no basis for this other than the fact that they had broken up and she has anxiety. He then told her that she would be on a certain antidepressant because, and he made her stand up and be looked at, it would help with her weight, and that she probably binge eats. She's 9.5 stone and 5'5". She came out of his office in tears. What?
Like, I actually can't.
The actual fuck.
I actually can't cope. And the thing is, like, can somebody tell me, because maybe I've got this wrong, surely that's criminal. Like, that is negligence.
Yeah.
That is actual medical negligence.
It's vile.
And traumatizing and throwing accusations out. Like, I can't cope. That is not okay. And
this is a 19-year-old girl who is in a world where image and everything is so important, and she's been told she needs to lose weight at 9.5 stone, 5'5". I'm sorry,
but why would you how could anybody make assumptions about people's mothers and fathers and all the rest of it? Like, that's not your job. That is not your job. And like, I could actually cry. It makes me so angry.
And this is a registered psychiatrist heading up an ADHD department.
It's absolutely terrifying.
It really is.
Okay, I'm going to move on to another one. I had my private assessment and just got a letter the beginning of July to say that I had ADHD and recommended treatment, including medications. This letter was a copy that was also sent to my doctor. I left it a couple of weeks and heard nothing, so rang up to be told they never received it. They said they would set up a telephone call to discuss the letter. I asked if I could email a copy ahead of it so that he could actually see the letter. I missed the call by a second due to poor signal, and he said to ring the surgery back. So I did that straight away, and they wouldn't put me through to him, and I would have to rearrange an appointment. If I had managed to answer, I would still be on the phone to him. It was literally a minute. I'm so frustrated. I want to know, all I wanted to know was whether they would take on board what he had said and try medication, or whether I need to do that bit privately too. So that's really like important information, and obviously we can appreciate that in inverted commas an appointment was missed, but again, like, this is on the phone and signal happens, and just where is the human element in any of this? Like, we've got people that are likely to be suffering from anxiety, and there's just no accommodation made for that whatsoever. Do you see what I mean? This is what we're talking about, is accommodations made for a disability, and visible disabilities get accommodations made for them. This is ableism.
Yeah.
It is ableism.
It's fucking
I'll
ridiculous.
go on. Blah, blah, blah. So I have the private diagnosis, but if I want to go through titration privately, my local doctors say they won't take anything to do with it, and that if I wasn't treated through the NHS, I have to go through their referral. So even if I got to a point with private where they think they have the right meds and right dose, this then means I can't go to the NHS and say I know exactly what I need now. ? I'm confused. I'm waiting for the doctors to come back to me, but not sure if I'm being fobbed off. He said something about it being political. So, like, what is the message here, people? What's the message? What are we saying here? Okay, the wait's too long. As we've said, how dangerous that is when you are talking about mental health. If you're telling somebody, either an indefinite, a person who struggles with time blindness, an indefinite amount of time for them to live in a limbo prison, or, you know, that just not having the answers is bad enough. But what is the message that we are giving to people? If the wait is too long, that God forbid they might not even survive the wait, right? That's how serious this is. Then, like, I really don't understand why there is no clear message or clear example of how the process works, and it's literally everybody making it up as they go along for a problem that affects 1 in 40 people. This is a huge problem. There is no coherence in the system from place to place, and it's ridiculous.
There needs to be some standards and some set rules instead of just this bullshit. Everybody, it's like a bunch of monkeys.
We're literally hearing that NHS in our area is not doing ADHD assessments. As if that's just a choice that they get to make. This is a vital medical service. You don't just go, oh, yeah, sorry, we're not doing that now. Like, if you do not have the people to provide the service, then the service provided needs to change. It doesn't just disappear because there's no time or money to do it.
I'm just going to take this off the menu this week.
Oh, and actually, do you know what? We can't do it. But if you go private, actually, we might not take that on anyway. So even if you are privileged enough to be able to seek private healthcare, we might ignore that anyway.
Yeah, it's not valid.
Like, make it make sense. Make it make sense.
It's so frustrating.
This one is the one that really makes my head spin. We were sent a copy of a text message that reads, "This is to confirm that we have received your call regarding opting in, and you are now on a waiting list for an assessment. Hooray, you might cry. Wait for this. It is 6 years for ADHD and ADHD med review. Please fill in and return relevant forms ASAP."
6 years.
6 years.
What's
and that is
the
from
actual-
the Adult ADHD ASD Diagnostic Service. 6 years. Be sure to get those forms in ASAP though, yeah?
What a joke. What a fucking joke. Like, people are expected to put their lives on hold for 6 years. I'm sorry, but I've been on limbo since September and I've been struggling like fuck. And my mental health has suffered as a result. I don't know what I would do with my life if I was told that I would have to wait 6 years. It's just not on.
It's really not on.
It's not. Change needs to be made. They can't just put people's lives on hold like this.
And that's the thing. It's like, we're not saying that we have the answers. We're not saying that the NHS have messed this up. We know it's about money. We know it's government funding, it's resources, it's psychiatrists. But what we are saying, and what is abundantly clear, is that the system is broken.
Yeah.
So if the system is broken and it doesn't work as it is, then let's start trying some other options.
And that's why we're here.
That's it. We're not saying we know. We're not saying it's easy. We're not saying you must do what we say. All we're saying is, come on, guys.
And
People are fucking dying.
And I think there's 2 girls up in Fitty, Aberdeen that, you know, are gathering our little army of you guys so that we can start pushing towards change. Because that's what we want. People shouldn't have to suffer like this. And yeah, it needs to stop.
It really does. This is another message from somebody, I believe, in Ireland.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Blah, 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 blah. Sorry. I'm 29 and trying to get a diagnosis in Ireland. There is only like 2 or 3 ADHD clinics in this country, so I may never find out. My GP told me it's just anxiety, and I've had to argue my case with him. Even though I've suspected I have ADHD for years now, I'm on a waiting list now, but may never find out unless I go private. My whole life has felt like I'm wearing my shoes on the wrong feet, which I have done, lol. But knowing people have lived the same experience makes me feel less shit. Sorry, this message is a bit all over the place. Don't be sorry.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
It gives me goose pimples.
It's just like people are really suffering. This isn't a joke. People are suffering. Lives are destroyed. Relationships are destroyed. And people want to and do take their lives. Why is this not being taken seriously? Ugh, literally rage tears. I was diagnosed 3 years ago with bipolar and BPD. I had 2 different doctors. During these years, I kept saying, I don't think I am, and you have what you have diagnosed me with. I think I have ADHD. They shot me down and basically thought I was having a BP episode. Give me strength. Then in February this year, I got a new doctor who is wonderful and listened to me, put me through the test, and now I am diagnosed both hyperactive and inattentive. And let me just really push this one.
Yeah.
I'm off the antipsychotic drugs and antidepressants now. That's misdiagnosis.
Yeah. Just throwing drugs at people for a problem without looking at the fucking whole picture.
Psychotic drugs, like Jesus Christ. Antipsychotic drugs, like this is so serious. This is so serious. And yeah. It just
it's like, oh, you've got a broken leg. Let me stick a cast on your arm. That's what they're doing.
Yeah, and
it's
or things like, a person who cannot walk or cannot see or cannot hear, asking them to enable to get the help that they need to do things that literally contradict the symptoms that they have, and then telling them, yeah, no, either I don't believe you, diagnosing them with the wrong thing, as you've said, or just leaving them.
Yeah.
Just deal with it. Sorry, love. Like, what?
We'll help you, but just not right now.
Not right now. It's not a priority. Or no, we're not taking on assessing the disability that you have. I'm sorry, but that has to be a crime.
ADHD isn't a trend. It's not something that people just want to be part of. Nobody wants ADHD. Like, it's fucking horrible.
It's absolutely horrendous.
Oh.
It has destroyed my life multiple times and cost me so much.
Yeah.
So much.
Same.
So let's take a moment to breathe and listen.
We're so ranty.
And listen to a bit of positive neuse. So after being told that the NHS up here are not doing any kind of ADHD assessment,
I just feel like I'm so lucky, and this shouldn't be about luck.
No.
You know? It's fucking ridiculous.
I heard about MyPace, not to be confused with MySpace. MyPace on a couple of the ADHD groups on Facebook. I had a massive impulse moment. Saw that they had a last minute cancellation for an assessment in 3 days' time and booked it. So an email was sent, 3 forms, 1 general info, 1 of a relative friend and 1 for me. They asked for examples of when I felt X in childhood and adulthood. I spent quite a few hours making sure I provided lots of detail and sent them off. All online forms. I had my appointment at 9 a.m. via a video call. It's all worked very seamlessly, and after an hour and a half, he really drilled into the detail. He said there is absolutely no doubt that I have ADHD. He discussed whether I wanted to try meds or counselling. When I said I'd had lots of counselling and now want to try meds, absolutely no quibbles at all. Then asked if I'd prefer short or long release tablets. I left the call feeling really positive and respected. I then received an email explaining the titration process. I had to email over my blood pressure, base heart rate, weight and height. I paid the titration fee that covers first prescription and a month of check-ins, 1 a week. I am now waiting for the prescription to arrive. The assessment appointment cost £360 and the titration was £130 for 4 weeks, and this included prescription. The psychiatrist I was assessed by also works for the NHS, so I'm reassured that the shared care handover should run smoothly. Heard there have been issues and purely private psychiatrists, which is an issue that I came up against.
Yeah.
I have to complete titration with MyPace before then being handed over to the GP. Unfortunately, sounds like the titration process is just a wait and see, but fingers crossed it doesn't take too long. Early in my journey, I had reached out to a certain hospital to see if they did ADHD assessments. They said they did, but the psychiatrist had to decide to see you or not based on your referral. Also, wouldn't give any idea of costs involved other than the initial consultation, not assessment, was $160. First appointment they had was January and would have also been by video call. Honestly, I've been so impressed by MyPace and the way the assessment was carried out. Here's just hoping the script arrives soon. So just to reiterate, this is the first we're hearing of MyPace too. They haven't paid us or anything. We're not working for them. We're just trying to give a glimmer of light, potentially. But this person is going to keep in touch with us and let us know what happens, and we will keep you updated as well. I had the idea in my mind that going private, in inverted commas, was about $2,000. Because I know that that's what Dr. James Brown of ADHD Adult UK paid.
Yeah, around £1,000, I think, was what I had in my head.
A friend looked into it the other day and said it was £900.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a lot better. It's still not something
that should
ideal. Have to be paid for.
Of course.
But
it's not ideal.
Because that in itself is completely ableist for a lot of people who struggle with their finances as part of one of the symptoms of the very condition that they need help with.
Yeah.
But it is slightly brighter news. So what's that? 360 plus 130?
490.
490. So that's £500 for a seemingly smooth running service, with the hope that the NHS take that on afterwards.
Yeah.
So we'll keep you posted. So anyway,
it's not all horror stories.
It's not all horror stories. And I'm sure that a lot of people in different ADHD charities behind the scenes have got many fingers in pies and wheels spinning, which we hope to find out about, because we want in.
Yeah.
We want change. We've never done this for internet points. Yes, we've done it so that we can bring the community together for people just like us who are getting a late diagnosis, because it's happening in real time.
The more people we have behind us supporting us, the more we can do.
But that exactly.
We
But
can't
that's
do
the
this
main
alone.
point, is we need change, and we hope that in some tiny way we can be part of that change and make it my life's mission, actually. You can take this as, what do they call it? An oath. As an oath to my clan. I'm telling you now, as long as I have air in my lungs, I will fight for this change.
Yeah.
I will fight for this. So join us.
On our mission.
Join us on
the
our
campaign.
mission, on our campaign, and use your voices and help us. Tell us anything. We would love to speak to a GP. We want to know what the problem is.
Yeah, so if you're out there listening and you're in the medical profession and you want to talk to us about this, we would love
Even
to
if
talk
it's
to
to
you.
tell us how ridiculous we are, we don't care. We need to understand. It doesn't matter if we're not on the same page. We can all agree, whether you're looking at it from the viewpoint of there's too many people trying to get diagnosed, or whether you're looking at from it from our angle. We still need to talk.
Yeah.
We need to get our heads together, because this is a crisis.
There's part of me that feels like maybe this podcast, what we're doing, isn't a good thing, because it's making more people aware that this could be them that have ADHD. And the more people that think they have ADHD puts more pressure on the NHS and all these people seeking diagnosis. But it's not just about awareness. Awareness brings change.
Yeah.
And that's the key point here.
And we want people to have the help that is their right to have. That can save their life, that can save their relationships, that, it just is your right to have treatment for a disability.
Yeah.
Full friggin' stop.
Here, here.
And breathe. Okay, so polls. Okay. We asked you, instead of ADHD, have you been misdiagnosed in the past? For example, a comorbidity such as anxiety, depression, bipolar disorder, and a whopping 88% of you said yes. Have you done?
Have I been
Misdiagnosed. Have you gone to the doctors for mental health issues in the past?
Yeah. I mean, I have something I struggle with and have struggled with a lot of my life is hypochondria.
Right.
And I remember going to the doctor at one point, like convinced I had a brain tumour. I mean, my mum suffered a brain tumour when I was younger, so that's
really traumatic.
planting the seed, But I suffered really badly from migraines, and so I would go to the doctor and I would just have this impending doom upon me all the time, and I'm like, you need to find what's wrong with me, because there's something wrong with me.
Yeah.
But this is just a comorbidity of ADHD.
Yes.
And so this hypochondria and me freaking out about all these things, it all comes back down to
the
ADHD.
Yeah. I have been myself, not misdiagnosed as such, but my ADHD has gone undiagnosed as I've been treated for multiple comorbidities from the age of about 14.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm now 39. That's fun, isn't it? 88%. And
wild.
misdiagnosis is negligence.
Yeah.
It is negligence. It's medical negligence. If you've gone to your GP saying you suspect you have ADHD, how did they react? So it's a joy to read that 66% of you said that your GP was sympathetic and helpful.
It's how it should be.
That is fantastic. But 34% said dismissive and sceptical. And actually, even if it was 1%, that would be unacceptable and ableist. Yeah?
Yeah.
How long a wait have you been told? So if you are on a waiting list to get assessed, how long a wait have you been told? So 39% said a few months. Okay, fine.
We can handle that.
28% said 1 year. 28% said 2+ years. And 4% said 5+ years.
Which is just insane.
And you were all saying before as well.
Yeah, and I've had people message on the back of this question saying that they've been waiting 6 months and they still haven't been told how long they're going to have to wait, or they haven't received a referral letter yet.
Like me.
Yeah.
Like I did.
Yeah. So, which is just shocking.
Have you not been referred for ADHD assessment by your GP? If so, why? I was told they don't do adult referrals, shall I say it?
Yeah.
In Aberdeen on the NHS.
Which is a lie because I've been referred. So I don't know what's changed now that they're not doing it. We have heard that they've stopped taking on people up here, but they can't just stop. They can't just stop.
They said I had the means to go private, then do it instead, because it was a 2+ year wait. GP was treating my depression unsuccessfully for 2 years, told them I suspected it's ADHD. She didn't even ask why, just said, let's treat your depression first and change my meds. 2 weeks later, went for private assessment and yes, ADHD. I approached her after doing some research. She believed it was worth looking into. Okay. Told not affected my life enough to assess by mental health practitioner. Went private, got diagnosed.
Who gets to make that decision?
Yeah, why?
I'm looking at you from that little snippet of information that you've told me.
Yeah.
I've got enough information to say that this doesn't affect your life as much. You don't need a diagnosis.
Why does a GP, in this instance, get to play God?
Yeah.
Like, this is not about your opinion. It's about a list of criteria of symptoms, just as if somebody had measles or asthma or anything, right? This is not about what you think based on how you look at a person who's probably really brilliant at masking.
At the end of the day, they've approached a doctor to get a diagnosis for a condition they believe they're suffering with, to then be told it's not affecting you enough. That person approached the doctor because they feel it is. So validate those thoughts.
Yes.
And those feelings. And don't just dismiss them because you don't think they're suffering from it
because
enough.
of your own bias.
Fuck off.
You're not being paid to be biased. You are being paid to provide a service for people in need.
Yeah.
Has anyone been ADHD assessed and been told they don't meet the criteria? If so, why? Yes, my behaviours weren't risky enough. Didn't want to air my dirty laundry to a stranger.
Do you want me to go and rob a bank?
Yeah.
Is that what you need from me?
Do I need a criminal record? I'm a stay-at-home mum, so can't prove 2 areas. For example, relationships and work. So there's that. 20 years ago, I only had the hyper and not the attention aspect. The questions they asked me, have you been arrested or expelled from school? No for both meant no referral.
Bullshit.
And I didn't tell my, disclaimer, this is bad. I didn't tell my psychiatrist that I have a degree.
Yeah.
And I have a shit degree because I left my dissertation to the last bloody minute.
Yeah.
Because of time blindness, task paralysis, and all of the other symptoms of ADHD. So I did badly in my degree, but I have one. But I clearly have ADHD. The dysfunctionality is quoting, not that dysfunctional. How good is that? So now we get to quantify the level of dysfunction in your life based on an appointment. Like, what's the deal? I understand that they can't meet the demand. That I understand. But the point that needs to change is how they meet the demand, not turning people away based on your own view of a snapshot of somebody's life.
It almost feels like because there's such a demand on the service just now, they're looking at who it's affecting the worst. And that's not fair. Because they're only seeing...
Because that's only their perception.
Exactly. It's only their perception. They're only seeing a snippet of that person's life. And so they're just like, well, you're suffering more than you, so I'll give you the diagnosis. And
then on top of that, you've got, James Brown said, Mrs. ADHD, who we would still really like to have on the podcast, please, that she... that it almost felt that they were literally trying to trip her up with the appointments, make it really difficult. And, you've got 2 weeks to get this form back to us, blah, 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 blah,
Mm-hmm.
because that's how you're weeding people out. Oh, you've given them the opportunity, but actually it's ableist against the symptoms of the disability.
Yeah.
It's just like, just change the system. Just change that. And with that in mind, if you could implement change to the diagnostic process, what would it be? When being diagnosed with comorbidities, I have several. An ADHD assessment is also made. So that's what we always say, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like if somebody is presenting with some kind of mental health issue that could be a comorbidity, to screen for ADHD.
It just makes sense.
Because all you're doing is treating the comorbidity and
Like,
then giving people the wrong drugs.
Get to the root cause.
There should be screening for ADHD teenage girls if they seek help for depression and anxiety.
Again, yeah, it's the same thing. It's like, get to the root cause.
Faster, less loops, more clear information about what will happen at appointments and support after. I say definitely amen to that.
Yeah.
It's not, here's your pills, see you later. And you should be very grateful for those. And another thing I'm just going to throw in there, I have got my checkup in which I have to be weighed and have my blood pressure taken, etc. And I'm really frightened to have it because I have lost loads of weight. But the point is, I was really frigging overweight. I piled on the weight due to depression and lack of activity due to the pandemic. And when I went to the doctors, I had already lost the best part of a stone. And I said to him, I am on a diet. I'm being really strict. I bought myself a watch thing, and I'm walking. I'm getting the steps in. So I don't want to come back and you tell me that I've lost too much weight because I'm actively trying to lose weight. So when I spoke to my psychiatrist on the phone the other day and I said, just to put my mind at ease, it's not going to be a problem that I've lost weight, is it? She was like, well, actually, that's one of the things they're looking for. So, and I was like, okay, well, but I'm not underweight in any way. Like, there's still bits that are in the red. I've got one of those apps that tells you. It's like, she's like, yeah, probably best to bring that with you. So now I'm terrified that now I'm getting down to a healthy weight, they're going to say that I'm not allowed to take the meds anymore or something, which could be irrational, but I'll keep you posted. But living in fear.
Yeah.
I'm living in fear even now. To tell people how long it would take, my GP said a long time, but I found out it was 5+ years.
Yeah, it's that not knowing.
Yeah.
It's that like undisclosed amount of time that is just it's not fun to live through.
Somebody else has suggested something you could access through EAP when symptoms present at work. Pathways that don't insist on school reports when you're 40.
Yeah.
Easier forms, quicker to be assessed. The process was technically complicated too. Different questionnaires for men and women because ADHD in women presents itself differently. Or just across the board.
Yeah.
Because we have, like, say, Dawn, you would say that you, as a child anyway, presented the more typically male, in inverted commas, hyperactivity aspect.
Yeah, because I was a little fucking
so
shit.
It's so it's across the board, you know, like, just all of those symptoms are valid, whatever sex you are. Explore more. Don't just prescribe antidepressants.
Yeah.
More info on confirmed time frame. Train GPs to know when patients suspect ADHD, it needs to be taken seriously, considered, not fobbed off. Have psychs provide more info for support in addition to meds. Make it more accessible for incomes. Make sure everyone knows it exists. And that's the only thing that we feel like we can do to help. And that's what we're trying to do. Please help us and use your voices and join our campaign.
Yes.
Navigating the Ontario healthcare system is hard. Not having insurance is exhausting.
Yeah.
So that's from somebody in Canada. And then we've got some more that says... it would save a lot of going around the houses, I think she means, with providing adequate information. More psychologists and prescribing doctors available. More education about what ADHD is for all and know what depression/anxiety is. And I would add that could just be a comorbidity of ADHD.
Yeah.
Recruit more specialists. Encourage students to go that route. It's a tough one. It is a tough one, exactly. We're not saying we know. We're just throwing ideas around.
Yeah.
The Scottish ADHD Coalition has the test that you can download and take to give to your doctor, which is great to know. They need more trained professionals. Make it not only psychiatrists can diagnose. Trained mental health nurses could do it just as well. I love that.
Yeah.
When these were coming on, I was like waiting for somebody to say that, because my whole question when we were talking to Helen Anderson was, why can't a GP do it? I'm sure there must be a reason, but I don't know what it is. But here someone's even suggested mental health nurses. That's a great suggestion.
The thing is, if we as ADHDers can go around pretty much diagnosing everyone that we meet, then with a little bit of actual training, other people like mental health nurses can do that diagnosis. Surely, I don't know if there's more to it than that. Like,
and there's bound to be. There's bound to be, and that's what we would love someone to tell us. So if you know why all of these countless suggestions are invalid and impossible because of some reason that we don't know about, please would you educate us, because we want to know. We genuinely want to know. We're not just here to scream and shout and point fingers and stamp our feet. We want to understand. So please help us.
Yeah.
More trained staff who work with adults. Clear message from the government, RE, how to access assessments, treatments, coverage. A lot more qualified people. Counsellors, nurses instead of psychiatry is relatively simple to diagnose. We know we've got it.
Yeah.
Exactly that. Well, does it really have to be a psychiatrist? Could other roles be trained?
This is exactly what we're talking about.
This is where my brain goes. This is what we've been saying the whole time. Surely this system doesn't work. Who else can do it? The system is under too much pressure, no funding, etc. Who else can do it? Because people need the help. The right to choose in England to be referred to a psychiatrist with a shorter wait list. So that's from somebody in Scotland saying that we need the same system here.
Agreed.
Examine associated conditions and consider ADHD as possibility. More trained professionals. Funding. Money to pay for more people to assess more information for GPs. Asking, especially women, more specific questions to assuming it's anxiety and depression. Get more people trained and employed to help in all neurodivergent areas.
There's just so much of the same thing, though. Like, we're all saying the same changes need to happen.
Yeah.
So we need to start looking at these.
Yeah.
And by we, I mean everyone, the medical professions, the NHS, everyone needs to start looking at these things and if change can be made. Because it needs to be made.
And that's the thing, is like as we keep saying, we don't know the answers, but we have really suffered. I've nearly lost my life to undiagnosed ADHD. And, there are people that have lost their lives to it and had their lives destroyed. And we just need help.
Yeah.
We just need help. So we've got some Ask Us Anything questions.
Yes, we do.
What symptoms did you have as a child? Have concerns about my 9-year-old daughter.
As a child, I guess for me, I was extremely disruptive. So I struggled to focus, especially in classrooms. I was always the one getting told off for chatting or distracting others. I was pretty hyper and chatty. And just, I guess I wasn't able to, I wasn't good with time, getting up out of bed in the morning, still an issue. I was very messy, really bad at tidying up after myself, forgetful. I'd forget to take my pants to school if I had swimming lessons and things like that. I guess that's the ones I can remember off the top of my head.
So I was really, really emotional. So I was really easily upset. I was always in tears about something, angry about something. But again, I never really, and maybe my parents would tell me otherwise, but I never really acted out as a young child. I wanted to be good and I wanted to, not take up that much space or be seen. I definitely wasn't like, having tantrums or being a madam, to my knowledge.
I was a madam.
But I was always very, very upset. I didn't want to go to school. I was always filled with dread that people didn't like me or things like that. Just feeling really upset and very, very anxious. I was always worried about something. And the other one that really sticks out is that I just didn't sleep ever. And I would just lie in my bed in a fantasy world until I had to get up for school. And then although I tried really hard to be good at school, I would always hand things in late. Things like
same.
that. I couldn't get my work done, and it just got me in a lot of trouble because of the inconsistency. As we know, we can focus on things that interest us. So I would excel in one thing, and I'd be terrible at another thing, or even in the thing that I excel at on a bad day, I wouldn't be able to do it. And that would, get me in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, I was the same. I would excel at the things like sports and home economics and like cooking and sewing and art and all of those things I was great at. But anything that required, a little bit more work and I found less, exhilarating or fun, I just failed at.
So, have you read Scattered Minds? Lots of good psych info about ADHD. Do you know what? We keep getting recommended this and I keep meaning to read it. To be honest with you, I struggle to read in a decent amount of time. So I've moved on to audiobooks and I really, really love them. So I'm definitely going to listen to that when I'm on holiday. The issue is we just don't have time to scratch our asses right now.
Yeah.
So no.
I might download that on my Kindle. I have a Kindle. I bought a Kindle.
Can you read? I mean,
No.
for amount of time and get through the book.
I bought a Kindle. Probably when I split up with my ex, actually, because I started reading a lot of self-help books and stuff after that. But I bought a Kindle and again, I was reading then because I was really interested in the subject, so I was able to read.
Hyper-focus.
But I can't read.
Yeah,
I open a book, and the last book I read, although I enjoyed it, took me a year.
It takes forever, and the thing is, it's like I get to a point where I'm reading the same paragraph multiple times, and it just won't go in. And then I give up. But
the places I can read are on planes because
there's nothing else.
There's nothing else to do. Yeah. Or on holiday when I'm sunbathing, I'll take a book with me and I'll be able to read.
But I love audiobooks. I really, really do. They are the answer. So definitely, I need
to start listening
honestly,
to some audiobooks.
Yeah. Have you had any interest from sponsors? I'm so keen to see you make a living with the podcast. Well, that would be telling. Not so much sponsors, but a special fairy has been sent in to us who is helping us. So we haven't got the answers yet, but we're formulating a plan.
Yeah, we don't know what direction we're going in. We don't know where this is heading exactly, but we are
strategizing.
Coming together, and figuring things out.
Planning big things.
Yes.
Does Laura ever go outside without her signature hat? Not if I can help it, mate. Not if I can help it. It just feels like part of my head now. Like, the thing is, I have this wall paint. I always wear this black eyeliner. I'm very minimal. I literally never wear makeup, ever, apart from a little bit of eyebrow, because I'm that generation that's plucked all my eyebrows away, and 2 little black lines either side of my teeny tiny eyes. And once I've got that wall paint on, I'm a new person.
Yeah.
And that's all I do. And then the hat has become part of the wall paint, I feel like.
Yeah.
I can put it on and I'm ready to go. And I think it's because I'm so tall and I was always so self-conscious about being tall. When you put a hat on, it makes you even taller, and it's like a reminder to myself to own it and to stand up straight, And my friend makes the hats. They're amazing. So 39 millimeter. What are your plans for the weekend, Dawn?
Well, this weekend, I guess when this airs, it may change. But this weekend, what I am doing is I am going to a gig tonight. One of my friends from uni, their band's playing. They're called Hit List.
Cool.
I'll give them a little plug. And the band White Lines are headlining. So it's just a little gig in a place in Aberdeen, Drummond's, and going out. So I'll probably get really drunk because I can't control my drinking,
well, when you're out.
I'll be hungover to fuck tomorrow, but I'm off to get my hair done tomorrow. So
Very nice.
yeah.
I am getting all of the decorations ready for the Fabulous Fitty Fashion Fest,
Whoop, whoop.
which is on this time next week. It will be happening. So if you are in Aberdeen or thereabouts, please do come down Saturday, the 20th of August, 11 till 3 p.m. in the Fitty Community Hall. It is an anti-fast fashion ADHD awareness raising, totally unique shopping experience with a DJ, with house and disco, and celebrating local creatives. And it's going to be amazing. So please do come down. It's free entry. There is an incredible raffle with all sorts of prizes from each of our creatives and local businesses, including a £50 voucher from the Silver Darling. Thank you very much to them.
Fancy seafood restaurant in Aberdeen. It's
Yes.
so good.
And so anyone who is around, please come down. It's free entry, but it's card payments only, and you can make a donation to ADHD Adults UK, who we are raising funds for with the raffle, and buy some amazing handmade and vintage stuff from local makers. And I'll take a breath.
And if any of you can't make it and you still want to make a donation to Adult ADHD UK, then you can visit their website.
Yes. So
I don't know how.
last question. It's ADHDadultUK.com, I assume, but you can, their handle is ADHD Adult UK, so you can find the website through their Instagram.
Yes.
So tips to better regulate my emotions. Well, my love, when you find out, let us know.
Yeah.
We're sorry. You know, we want to unite and bring us all together to support each other, but in that, we've made this platform. I think sometimes people get misled and think that we are coaches or experts and that we have the answer, and we are neither. We are you. We are literally going through exactly what you are going through in real time. So we don't have the answers, but we're sending you strength, and we are struggling right along beside you.
My only words of wisdom would be just to be kind to yourself.
Yeah. And we should leave it on that note, I think.
Yeah, I think we've got
That's a perfect place to end it.
It is.
If you've enjoyed this very ranty episode, you've taken anything away from it, we would be so grateful if you could make a donation to our Buy Me a Coffee page,
Which is buymeacoffee.com/ADHD as females.
It's got nothing to do with coffee. It's donations to help with the outgoings of the podcast, for the hours that we pour in behind the scenes, and we're scribbling away some to make some merch, and that is coming soon when we get 5 minutes to do anything. Because we can barely keep up with what we're already doing, but we'll get there, people. We will get there, and we really appreciate your support. And with that in mind, please do join our campaign and send us a 1-minute video or voice note to our DM on social media, telling the world what you want them to know about ADHD, and we will either share it in a reel or on the podcast.
Yes. And before we go, Laura, what's the most ADHD thing you've done this week?
So with the event coming up, which I'm so excited about, I'm not complaining in any way, and I'm so grateful to Open Road for all of their support in helping me put this event on. But basically, my hyper focus has just gone into overdrive, and I'm doing basically what I did before the Secret Garden party, when I'm just working from the moment I open my eyes till the moment I go to sleep. And what I've realised, and this is so awful and shit, especially for somebody who complains about grey weather, is on this beautiful week of sunshine, I basically didn't leave the house.
Yeah.
Because all I'm doing is focusing on everything that needs to be done for the event, for the podcast. And I've also got to finish my writing course. I'm in the last 2 weeks of that, and I'm just running like a motor from morning till night and ignoring all other basic needs, like suddenly realising you're desperate for a wee because you've sat for 3 hours just doing one thing and ignored your own bodily functions. And full hyper focus. The most ADHD thing I did this week was not go outside in the sunshine, and I live on the friggin' beach.
I did get to enjoy the sunshine last night. I went for a barbecue at the beach.
Yeah.
But guess what? The sun disappeared.
Yeah.
Fucking typical.
So what's your most ADHD thing?
Well, I've done it twice this week, which is really funny. So I've been trying to catch up with all my washing because obviously there's 5 loads and I've just left it build up. So I got some washing done and I hung it out. And then because I was working with 2 jobs the other night, I was like, I'll hang it out after my first job and then I'll pick it up when I come home from the second job. Totally forgot about it. So the washing sat out all night. So the next morning I managed to take it in. I was late for work, obviously, as a result of that. But I took it in and I hung out another load of washing. It's still there. It's still out on the washing line because I left it out again overnight. So it was pretty cloudy and damp last night. I mean, it wasn't raining, but like the dampness of the air. So it's still out there. The sun is out now, so I'm hoping that
I'll be sweet in a bit then. Don't forget tonight.
Yeah, no, I'm going to go as soon as we're done here. I'm going to take that washing in. She says, but there we are. Anyway, we've ranted on for long enough, so let's call it a
day. We're sending you strength, and send us your voices, and thank you so much. And if you've enjoyed this and you can't make a donation to our Buy Me a Coffee page, please, you can help us by hitting those stars or sharing us in an ADHD group on Facebook, for example, and even sharing the post, as we want as many voices as we can to unite. We've
been getting some great reviews. Our star rating is going up and up.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Spotify. And we were sandwiched between Louis Theroux and Russell Brand in the Spotify podcast charts this week, which was that's not a sandwich I would say no to.
Honestly, Russell Brand below us and Louis Theroux on top. And with that, we should go.
Bye.
ADHD as females. ADHD AF. ADHD as females. The podcast.